John in Radford, Virginia.
Yes, sir. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm good.
All right.
How's the weather there in Austin?
Kind of hot.
Well, enough
How's
of
it
the
in
small
Virginia?
talk. I have an interesting argument proving that God's existence
Okay.
using the double-slit experiment, which just briefly shows that when particles exhibit wave duality, particle and wave duality, and when the electrons were shot at the slit and not observed, they went into being a wave, went through both slits at one time, and hit the back wall at a pattern which shows that they were in a wave-like function. Now, when scientists observed, hey, which one is this going through? You know, is it going through both at the same time? They put a detector by one of the slits to see which one the particle was going through. And when they did, the particle went back into being a particle and not a wave, only went through one slit or the other.
That is a fairly accurate description of the two-slit experiment. Thanks.
You're welcome. I try to be as quick as possible in it.
Okay.
Now, so isn't that logically, in a logic argument, proof that the particle is exhibiting a sort of consciousness?
No.
No.
And
why not?
and I think if you review the primary literature, like in peer-reviewed journals, you will not find anyone who says in any serious way that what you said.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, find a reputable peer-reviewed journal that claims that and not just, you know, wild speculation.
But isn't that a logical assumption?
No, it isn't.
Let me ask you something. Why do you think physicists don't find this compelling evidence of a God?
I think Niels Bohr even talked about how we're all observing what God's consciousness unfold before us. I'll have to look the quote up. I guess I'm rather unprepared.
No, you
But
really no.
here's another thing too. If we are particles or waves, and we're all made out of particles, then you know who says where the apple is and how it looks like for us to see and observe?
What?
Because
No, let's go back to this again. You realize that most physicists are not theists, right?
Yes, I do realize that.
Okay, so why do you think that is? Why do you think they are not persuaded by this double-slit experiment that a God exists?
Well, I mean, it's only it's not absolute proof that God exists,
Well,
but
physicists don't require absolute proof. They're scientists. They understand that doesn't exist. Why do you think they don't find this compelling evidence of a God?
probably because they're just not trying to look at it as evidence.
Why would they? Why would they not go where the evidence leads? And if the evidence led them to believe that a God exists, why would they not accept that?
Right?
Well,
shouldn't
I mean, I
shouldn't
think
this
that-
stuff
I think
actually
it's-
be published? I mean,
let me ask you a question. If a particle behaves differently when it's being watched, what would you call that? The intervention of it changing from a wave back to a particle.
I would call it a limitation in our ability to measure something.
well, I wouldn't.
Two simultaneous
I don't
states.
think that would be. I mean, it's not exactly a limitation on our ability to measure it. I mean, the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle says that it is actually fundamentally uncertain, and not just that our measurement instruments aren't good enough, but that it's fundamentally unknowable. But I don't think it's accurate to describe it as behaving differently when it's observed. I think I'm not totally clear on this, but when you observe something, the function collapses with respect to that frame of observation, basically.
Exactly.
So it's not so much. I mean, relativity, for instance, indicates that there is no ultimately correct objective frame of reference for anything in the universe. And so it would be wrong to suggest that there's got to be some God frame of reference where everything is actually true, what relativity says and what this uncertainty in quantum mechanics also says is that what's actually happening depends on where you're looking from. And it doesn't say that there's an actual final correct frame.
Okay.
Mark,
well,
give me a nod or something if I'm not being crazy.
If it depends on where you're looking from.
Shrug. Yes.
Sorry, I thought didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh.
You know, you were
go
on
ahead.
one side of the room looking at a chair, and I'm on the other side of the room looking at the chair.
Right.
But the chair is there in that one spot.
Right.
But we are two different observers looking at them in different locations.
Yeah, well, at the macro level, all the different possibilities sort of average out to so that the physical properties of large objects have some kind of sensible explanation that basically isn't so much dependent on what happens at the much smaller level. Although if that chair was moving at near light speeds, then you'd still have the problem of frames of reference again.
Yes, but it's. I wanted to say that it's not just electrons that have gone through the two slits and have changed their function. It's also atoms and even a buckyball molecule.
Right. The physical objective universe has some existence outside of people's minds. It's just that at the quantum level, how that universe behaves is very fuzzy.
I just think it's a good argument. You know, what would you call it? When I said behaves differently, would you call it acts differently? Would you call it?
No, I would say we view it differently.
We view it differently. But there's only one. I mean, it either goes through one slit or the other.
No, that's actually not. See, the thing about quantum mechanics is that it doesn't objectively go through one slit or the other. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, mathematically it goes through both. It goes through one, it goes through just the other, and it goes through none. So you are right on that.
Okay.
But
how would you get from there to a god?
Yeah,
because the particles change their behavior when they know that they're being observed.
Okay, what does that have to do with
They don't
God?
know they're being observed.
Yeah, they don't know they're being observed, right?
How do they not know they're being observed when we shoot them through the slit when we're
They
not
don't
watching
have
them behave
minds.
like a wave?
Yeah, they
but
don't-
when we watch them...
No, they don't have a mind. They're particles.
Yes, but who's changing, or what is changing their behavior?
It's some of the weirdness that happens at the quantum level.
Right. I mean, you're not asking that kind of question about gravity, right? I mean, when you drop a rock, you're not saying, like, who's making that rock move downward, are you?
No, not one bit.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's
nothing
the
to do
same.
with it.
I mean, that's the same thing with quantum mechanics. Things happen the way they happen according to physical laws.
Pretty much.
So no, I don't see it as a compelling argument for God, is the bottom line, or for particles having minds somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thank you.